I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Explorers. It's ages 8 and up, 1 to 4 players, and it takes 20 minutes. Let me show you how to play. The goal of the game is to get the most points. You get points by marking X's on your board and flipping over these scrolls and marking different terrain types. And you are making your way to provisions and marking those off, marking spaces around your villages, collecting gems, and getting keys so you can go and unlock temples to get points. You are doing this over the course of 4 rounds. To begin, whoever has most recently traveled to a different country gets the first player token, and they get to set up your game map. You start with an empty container like this, and then of the 8 different tiles that are available to you, and they have different numbers on them, so you know this village is numbered 1, and then there's 3, 4, and 8 that this player has selected. So you pick 4 of the 8 tiles that are available to each player, and player number 1 creates a map with them. And you can orient the tiles however you like, right side up, upside down, sideways, and then however they set it up, everybody else needs to copy them. So everybody has identical maps. At that point, everybody picks the village closest to the center of the board, which is the same for everybody. And here it is it's village 8, and you mark an X on that. Now, the backs of the tiles, all the different number tiles, have different items on them. Don't worry about that. That's for advanced play, and so you don't need that for a basic game. The outline of your board too, there is a more advanced side to that as well. Don't worry about it just yet for your first game. It isn't too tough to pick up the expert rules, but just it isn't necessary at this point. You cross off. This is a 2-player game, so you will cross off the 10 and the 6 numbered totals, 10 and 8, 10 and 6, goodness, for each of the temples, because that's not an option. First to the temple will get 12 points, and second will get 8 points for each of them. And then what you're going for is you're going to be doing, when you finish, they have this in the bottom of the box, and it is so helpful the first few times that you play. This is what end game scenario might look like. And so you've created all of these paths, and they show how you score it up. So it's just nice to have an idea of what it might look like at the end. So I wanted to show that. Then each player, before you even start, gets to pick 3 spots of a specific terrain and mark X's, and you start from your starting village. So we'll say that player 1, and you mark these at the same time, he's going to pick water to start off with because that leads him over there. This player is going to pick, we'll say grass, and you can go, have them go this way to start off. And then, to begin, you have these 8 scrolls. You give them a little shuffle, and you're going to lay one to the side face down, and you're going to go through a total of 7 for the round. So player 1, to begin, will flip over a tile, and then they get to choose which one of these they want to mark for their turn. This is player 1. We'll go ahead and say that they want to mark, they already used water, so we'll have them go ahead and do desert. So they're going to have that, and that means the other person has a choice. They can either choose water, where they're going to get to mark 3 X's on their board, or they could choose desert, but they only get to mark 2 of that. So that's it. Every turn, whatever the player is who gets to flip the tile gets to pick their terrain, and then the other players either get to pick the same terrain for 2 X's or the non-claimed one for 3. So we're going to go ahead and have this person mark their 3 desert spots. You can't ever do it at a diagonal. It has to be straight lines. So we'll just have them do this. And then this person is going to go ahead and do water, and they'll go over this way. In the future, They can choose if, here, let's say it's this person's next. Oh, perfect. They're going to choose desert. From your spot, you can start out from any of the X's. So if they choose desert, they can go this way and get a carrot, a provision. They mark that they got it. But they can also go this way and get one of these scrolls as well. So you aren't just you can kind of spread all over your path all over as long as it's matching the correct terrain. And this person's going to go ahead and they'll go ahead and they'll take desert too because they aren't that excited about grass. We'll just say they take desert and they take 2 as well. So they went out 2 different ways and they got a scroll. Let's talk about the different places and objects on the board. Both of these players have circled a scroll on this turn, so I'll show you what that does. When this person, it's their turn to select a terrain on their next turn, and so we'll go ahead and have them pick grass, and they're marking this 1, 2, and 3 here, we'll say. They mark off the item they collected. If this person is not excited about marking 2 grass or 3 water and they want to do something else, they can use the scroll and ignore what is out here, and then they get to mark 4 X's on the terrain of their choice. So we'll go ahead and have them mark 1, 2, 3, 4 over here because that is convenient to me. And that's what they get to choose instead. The horse, if you cross off the horse, you immediately get to place a bonus X somewhere, but it still has to connect to what you've already built. But it can be any terrain. So they can do that and they could choose, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a grass over here because then it's leading to another horse. So sure, that's what they can choose to do. That's how the scrolls work. The keys, you need to get the keys in order to open a treasure chest. So all that you're doing for that is once this person gets over and collects this key, you would circle one, and then when you've built your way to one of these treasure chests, you have to have a circled key that hasn't been crossed out, and then you would get to claim the treasure chest and cross out the key. When you claim a treasure chest, if they did get to this one, so we'll say, I'll erase this in a minute because this is not official game moves. We'll say they did this a few turns later, and they get to this, they get to circle the 12. They've crossed off this key because they've used it, and now this person has to cross out the 12 pointer for that quadrant because it has been claimed by the other player, and if they get to this one, then it's only worth, they can still get to the treasure chest, but it's only worth 8 points to them when they get there. The next thing that I want to show is the provisions. If you cross off one of these 3 items, then you get 2 points for the round over the course of going through these scrolls. So if in one round, this player is able to get carrots, and then they also came over here and got a fish. If they get all 3, then they would get 10 points. But it's not worth it if they came over here and got a bonus carrot on that round. It doesn't score for in the future. You have to do it on that round. So if you get all 3, then that's 10 points. But you can't go ahead, or it has to be the correct round for that. In the middle here with the villages, this is an end of game thing, so I usually don't worry about this until the very end. All of these villages, there's only one that will have an X directly on it. The other ones you just build around, but you get points for Village A in Quadrant A. Already, they would, if this was the end of the game, if you have 3 X's around it, you get 7 points for that. So just having any X's near a village, you get a corresponding number of points. So just 1 is 3, then 5 for 2, 7 for 3, 10 for 4 X's around. The gemstones are very valuable at the beginning of the game and less so as you go on, because any gems you mark at the beginning, if this player's gonna need everything. We're gonna give this player a few things. So if this player in the first round did just awesome on the gemstones, how many to get there? 1, 2, 3, 4. But he already had one marked, so we'll just say another 3 more. At the end of the round, he gets to mark that he got 4 points for that. And then the next round, if you go on to the second round and he keeps on going and he marks off another few over that round and he gets another, what was that, 3? If he gets another 3, then he has 4 for the first round. He gets 7 points for the second round. So any that you get in earlier rounds are counted again and again. So at the beginning, those are going to be counted 4 times over the course of the game. The second time, it's going to be counted 3 times. And then less so, the final round, they're only worth 1 point, right? The new ones that you find, because they're only counted that round in addition to everything else. So that's basically all you have to know, besides if 2 players explore the temple at the same time, you get to share the points for that. So it is worth it to race there to get there at the same time as somebody else, because it's not just whoever yells out that they got it first that matters. It's if you get there in the same turn, that's what matters. So all you do for a round is you're flipping through 7 scrolls, and the players are taking turns flipping. One person gets to pick their terrain of choice, and then the other person chooses either to take the 2 X's for that one or 3 for the other. You go through until you flip through all of them. Some have multiples on them, and for those, you can pick a mix. So if somebody, if this player picked this one, they could pick 2 of the pavement and 1 of the grass, and that would be perfectly fine. In a 3-player game, each you could pick whatever resource you want. It's a free tile for everybody at the end, and you just pick the resource that you want. In a 2-player or 4-player game, it belongs to a certain person at the end of the round. Then you just shuffle up those tiles. You score anything that matters for the particular round, which is really just provisions and gemstones, and shuffle, put one off to the side, go through 7 tiles again until you get to the end of the game. And at that point, you just tally up your score. Whoever has the most points is the winner. So that's how to play Explorers. The target demographic for this game is, I'm calling it gamer light. It helps if you're playing with people who have heard the term flippin' right and understand what that means, because this kind of takes that idea and is like one level up. So this isn't an entry level flippin' right. This is like 2.0, I would say. The rule complexity is medium. There's a little bit to figure out the first time you play. It seems pretty clear when you open it up. You're like, oh, I need to go and try to get to all of these treasury looking spots on the board. And that's basically it, but there's a little bit to look up about how you move around and what you're going for and why, and especially when you add in some of the advanced rules, there's just a little bit to figure out your first time through. However, this is a game that my husband and I can successfully play after 9 p.m. on a weeknight, so it is not too tricky once you get the basics down. How competitive is this game? It is medium. Unlike a lot of other flippin' rights, there is actually some player interaction when you play. Whenever we play this, we end up looking at other people's boards and seeing what they want, and then picking what area we're going to expand our path on accordingly. And you can be racing for certain things. So there is some player interaction, but I love games like this because you can always kind of work with what you've got. So even if somebody took something that, oh, I would have liked, there's not just one path to success. There are multiple ways to be very successful at this game. So it seems like even if people are doing things that are trying to get you, you can still work with what you're given. The replay value is high. On the back of the box, it says there are over 1 million different board game combinations that you can set out, but it's very easy to set out. but there's a lot of variety. And with the advanced rules, it's not going to get too repetitive and boring, which is really nice. And it's still very simple though, so that's great. Similar games, if you like this one, this reminded me very much of Karuba, which is kind of a race to the treasure through the jungle. You have your explorers trying to get to the temples. And I don't actually do that well at Karuba, but because I feel like there's only really one path to success in Karuba, but more than this. In this, there are a lot of different strategies and avenues for things you can pursue to get points. So I like that about this game. And also, if you like this kind of, the designer for this game is Phil Walker Harding, and one of his other new wonderful games that we love is Super Mega Lucky Box, which is kind of like a strategic bingo, and it's, I'd say, a level down from this. It's very simple. It's an entry level flip and right, and it's very fun. But we've been enjoying Explorers. It's one of our go-tos in the evening now, and you should check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.